Hey folks, how you doing? Pete Laporte here again, Sykes Group, Wilderness Division. Today's video is to help some of the people in our families and in our world that are not as physically able to do things as some of the other people. A lot of people in our families nowadays have some physical disabilities and issues. Some of the older people in our families could have some health issues, whether it be diabetes or some people with cancer or high blood pressure. Some people might have people in their family that have physical disabilities. They're not unable to walk very well, so they have to either use a cane, they have to use a wheelchair. Some families have people with vision disabilities, hearing disabilities. Some people have family members that have some mental issues. It could be almost anything. Depression. Some could be a little more severe. We get into like ADHD, bipolar, different things. The video I'm trying to bring out to you today is I'm not so much concerned about the problems that the people have per se, but what people with disabilities could possibly do in a scenario where the crap basically hits the fan. Back here in Sandy, we had Sandy back a few years. We have a local residence not too far from my house here in Staten Island, where it's basically a home for adults over the age of 60 years of age. The whole building, which is a 22-unit complex, roughly, is nothing but older people. And when Sandy hit, they got wiped out in their basement. They lost their power. They lost their air conditioning high-vac system. It still wasn't overly cold at the time. They had the AC unit running. But because of the type of building it is and the way it was constructed, they needed their power to run their cooling system, and they needed the power to basically run their sewage system and their pump system in their basements in case if there was a flood. When Sandy hit and it wiped out the power to the area because it took down the electrical grid, all these older people were basically stuck in their apartments. They couldn't get down staircases, the elevator systems were out. The local CERT team and other agencies had responded to the place. They had brought in portable generators. They zoned off areas so they could get these people to kind of get the air conditioning system working, the things to circulate the air in their building, to get the elevator running so we could get these people up and down. A lot of them got scared. They had to be taken out to hospitals because of some of their medical issues. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring up when I was talking about medical issues. Just because you might have a disability doesn't mean that when something bad happens, you're a helpless person, okay? No matter how severe something is, something could always be worked on or worked around to help you strive in an emergency situation like any other person would strive. I've done a lot of work with people with vision disabilities in the past. We've taught them how to basically be mobile. We've taught them how to take in buses, and we've taught them how to take in trains. We teach them what to do when they're walking down a platform, so if they're by the edge, they know how to feel for the rub strip, which is those yellow bumps that anybody in New York City and other places where they have trains, you've seen them. They're made so somebody walking with a cane, once he hits that bump, those bumps, it tells them that they're at the end of the platform, they can't go no further. In that type of training, we also taught the person what happens if you fall into the tracks, how to basically roll into the trough between the rails. That brings your body lower into the tracks, so if a train comes in, it passes over you. That's just an example. We've also have made plans in other individuals who might need oxygen, medications, things to that nature. Those are items that you should have on hand before an emergency. If you rely on having oxygen in your apartment, and right now you're using a tank, you might want to look or try to find out about using an item, a machine that actually produces the oxygen, so you don't have to use it off a tank. They basically recirculate the air in your system, in your house, put oxygen into the equipment, so it pumps oxygen into you, and you don't have to worry about hauling away a tank. Should you get rid of your tank? No. Tank is something that's a backup. In case the power goes out and that machine doesn't work, you have your tank. Okay? These are all things that people with certain disabilities should learn how to control. A lot of people nowadays have motorized wheelchairs. They find it's easier instead of having to try to wheel the chair by moving it by hand. The problem with these motorized wheelchairs is because they run on batteries. If the power goes out, your battery is going to be drained out and you can't charge it. Okay? Some people who are preppers, believe it or not, who do have wheelchairs that they use, actually have a solar system set up on their house to charge those car batteries. They'll go to the local Harbor Freight or AutoZone or whatever, or the local marina, and they'll buy the little solar chargers that charge up to 12-volt batteries and the 6-volt batteries in their wheelchairs. And that'll keep them going, you know, until the power can get back up. If you take basic medications for things like hypertension, if you need angina medicine in case you have a heart condition, if you have to take medication for diabetes, insulin, talk to your physician and see about getting a certain day supply out from what you usually take. I think blood medication and insulin, I think you're allowed to have up to 30-day supply. Okay, but if you talk to your physician and tell him what you're doing, maybe you could possibly get a 60-day supply. He might write you the script for it. With that being said, you also, for certain medications, they need to be refrigerated. You might want to look into having a cooler set up in your house and keep ice packs of some form in the freezer, so in case you do lose power, you can take the ice packs out, take your medication out of that refrigerator, and keep them in a designated freezer, refrigerator cooler with the ice packs, so it's in a smaller contained area, and keep that medication cooler until you could get help from outside, whether it be by generator, by getting dry ice, or just basically getting out of that area where you are and going to maybe a friend's or family's house where they have refrigeration and power where you can bring your medication. That's something you can look into. Also, people with vision disabilities, a lot of times, it's not even people with vision disabilities, a lot of other people with post-traumatic stress disorder, a lot of people have service dogs nowadays. Okay? Think about having supplies for your service animal. See about having extra food for them. Having medication for them if your dog takes medication. Or just have an emergency first aid kit for your animal to help them, as well as an emergency first aid kit for yourself in case if something happens before somebody can get to you. Learn communications. One of the best things that anybody could do, no matter your age or your disability, is learn how to communicate with somebody. Learn how to get a ham radio's operator's license. Get a possibility of a CB. Get a phone tree going, which is basically a phone connection to friends and family and other people in your community that you know, that if something happens, you can always call up and say, hey John, I lost the power in my house. You know, would you mind if I come crash at your house for a little bit? I got to put my medication in the refrigerator. You got power? You have to make these connections with people in your community. All right? We're going to put a list of other agencies at the end of this video that you can call up for possible help, for training, for certain things, for lists, for medications, or what agencies could possibly help you in a disaster or in some type of issue where you might need help. Like I said in other videos, places like Red Cross, Office of Emergency Management. It's not an OEM anymore, it's it's an emergency management office, whatever they call themselves now. They put out pamphlets for people with disabilities that have phone numbers and things in them that you could get now and read over and study to see what's available for people with disabilities. Okay? Keep in touch with your local hospitals and other agencies to help you keep abreast of new procedures and things that could be done depending on which your disability or issue is. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're disabled. Okay? You need to make a go bag like everybody else has. Your go bag will just be a little different. Might include your extra medical, your extra medication, your oxygen tank, your extra oxygen tank if you need. If you use a motorized wheelchair, set that thing up like it's a bug out vehicle. This way, if you got to get out and go, you get out and go on it. All right? If you have a vision disability or you're blind and you walk with a cane, learn the different ways of getting out of your building, off your block, or out of your area. Don't just go the same way all the time. If you have a hearing impediment, keep basic backups to your hearing system, battery backups. All right? Have paper and pen with you because you need to communicate with somebody. Some people with hearing loss have a hard time verbalizing because they never heard sound before. And not everybody can understand sign language. So bring paper and pencil with you. Write down what you might have to communicate to somebody else who might not understand what your problem is, your disability is. And please know that in a bad situation like a shift scenario, people are going to be frazzled and might not be thinking straight, and then somebody with disability will come up and ask them something or try to communicate something, and they might not understand what the problem is that you have. So you as a person with disability just kind of realize that the person you're talking to, who might seem physically normal, might never have dealt with anybody with a disability. And now they're disabled because they have no idea on what you're trying to communicate. So don't get flustered and think that, well, nobody's going to help me. You have to learn to help yourself and think ahead of the game. All right? So as I said, we're going to post some agencies and some information at the end of this video on where you can go to find out more information. And just like anybody else, check out your local CERT teams, check out your local Red Cross, find out about getting medical preparedness skills, find out about getting first aid skills. Just because you have a problem doesn't mean you can't do stuff to help yourself. Alright folks, thanks for watching. Pete Lepore, Sykes Group Wilderness Division. Have a good day.